Oh my, hello. Welcome, my name is Seth, this is Sweet Chariot, and we're doing woodwork. If you haven't liked and subscribed, you should probably do it already. I mean, I'm not going to beat the sexy women in short skirts dancing unless we do. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Help me build this beautiful channel where we build things out of wood, predominantly bows. So that's what we're here to talk about. Handles. That's what I wanted to talk about this evening because I'm in the process of doing a handle. Seen this one? This is the Home Guard flat bow. So go for people who have just tuned into this whole process. This being a U Selfbow. The other type of bow being a composite bow. Another type of bow being a compound bow. Let's forget about compound bows. That's super modern tech. Let's think about composite bows versus self bows today because they are relevant in terms of design when it comes to handles. Arrow passes and arrow rests. That's what I was thinking about calling this video. Because that's sort of the defining feature I wanted to talk about. Let's put this one down a sec. First, we're gonna whip this other wee horsebow. Am I tripping over there? Bloody kryptonite lock. First, we're going to whip this other wee horsebow out of the jig. You might have, excuse me, come to this video from the short where I explained jigging up this sucker. Come on, dinner, settle down. So yeah, put the tips on this guy. The tips came off, so put some sears on there. What are they, about 5 inches? 5-inch sears. It's brought it up to a length where we can do a 60-inch bow with what, like an inch or so tip on the end. This limb was sat further back than this one, so I'm bringing this one to the same point as this one. Hopefully, when I release it now, it should ping back. Yeah, it's about 0.5 centimetre, something like that. It's a bit more. It's a bit more than I wanted it to. Still sit in front of the timber. Wow, it's barely taken any. Right, so before the end of the day, yeah, I'm not going to take that out of the jig because I'm going to heat that back up again and try and rebend it. So we won't use that one as a demonstration, but that is a lovely little horsebow handle on that bow there. Really happy with that. The piece of wood was quite slim. So it was never going to make a crazy powerful bow, but it made a really nice bow. It's a decent piece of wood. Just needs the right weighted arrow to it. But yeah, the handle shape. Yeah, I made and snapped another horsebow with the exact same design of handle. Slice of mahogany on the back, shaped up in just a bump. And then, well, this one's a little bit longer. I'm going to try and bring it down just a wee bit more. And then you try and dip the handle at the front just a very little bit. Yeah, once again, I can put these for people who have no idea what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about an arrow pass or an arrow rest. These, I guess, are two pretty good examples of the two different designs. So I can talk about composite bows just briefly because normally this design would be a composite bow, it'd be fiberglass, bamboo, and carbon fiber, fiberglass, bamboo, and wood laid up together to make a really nice sturdy construction that you can then cut the middle out of quite happily because you've designed the entire structure to accommodate that. These are U Selfbows, so they're one piece of wood that you've sculpted the bow out of. So to then cut a piece out of the middle is it's quite a nerve-wracking experience, and you get it as well with the arrow pass. Of course, if you've done everything right, this is how I wanted to do this to make U Selfbows that could fire modern arrow materials. Sort of what I understood about traditional bows. So you have to fire wood arrows, ones that bend well around the pole of an English longbow. That being sort of the most prevalent design in this country for the traditional archer. But U Selfbows can make all manner of bows, so that's what I embarked on. and you can center cut self bows as long as you've thought some things through. A really nice longbow will often come from a stave that's split from a larger log, and you'll often lose the material from the back of the log, so you'll end up with just a plank really, which is fine for a longbow where you're not going to be cutting anything from the middle. But with this one in particular, it came for a log that wasn't really convenient to split it. This handle was a big old a burr, a big old knot. And there was probably some more on the backside. So to split it would have risked the stave. So it was much easier to just whittle away, sort of leave this lump of wood in the middle, and carve it into the handle. Now, as a result, there's enough material here to let's not knock it on the devices there, to quite happily cut it out. The rule is you don't go past center. It's a little bit, it's a hard one, because you're going to put a lot of work in first, and then you're going to start taking the middle away. So, and knowing that you can't go past center, I guess you could put material back again, but it's not the best look. You can't go past that point, and you need to get to that point though, because if you don't, it's not going to fire right. You could make it fire right, but I had this discussion with a fellow in the archery shop. Say you need to make it shoot with proper technique. Someone's gonna, they're not gonna know about canting the bow very slightly to sort of adjust for arrow spines or whatever. They're gonna shoot dead straight. So you need to make this. That's why I say that's You come out your archery lesson, you're gonna be taught a very specific way to shoot. And if someone's shooting like that, they need the bow to perform in that exact same way. If I've designed it to be that way, which is a center cut bow. If you've not made a center cut bow, the expectations are different. You're going to need a slightly different kit, slightly different technique. But most of that is in the handle, which is why we're here. Right, yeah, it's also sort of in the name, right? The arrow rest. To tie it in with the actual handle, it's designed to literally rest an arrow, this guy, obviously. It sounds silly to state the obvious, but it matters because we're going to talk about arrow passes in a second. So whereas this is, designed around the center of the bow in a particular way, center that way and the center that way, sort of where your hand sits in there, and then the fact that you're bringing it up to a certain point in your face and you're shooting a certain way, and off the left hand side of the bow. So left and the right hand side of the bow, I guess, is the most important defining feature of it, because when you're shooting off this side, you can't really move the bow out of the way, can you? You can do it a bit, steady, but it's not katra, which we'll talk about with the arrow pass in a second. So your arrow rest, very steady, ties in with the steady nature, anchored, slow, methodical nature of Mediterranean style archery. And pretty as well, If you can get it to work. That's a fella comment, experienced bow maker, saying you should never center cut a self bow, because over time all the stress goes into the middle, and it will break. I think we're okay. When you've got a piece of wood like this, of course, with the self bow, it always comes down to the piece of wood you've got. All those little design features, is the piece of wood going to allow you to do it? And in this case, this piece of wood did. Took my time. I didn't want to screw this one up, because they're all special, but to then have this extra amount of work in the solid piece of wood on the back there, I was really keen to get it right. The other way I've done it before, I ended up with staves that were just flat like this, is to then layer up material on the back. Let's see if I can whip one down quick. Let's get Saxon down quick. Good old Saxon. You see a bit of a back set shape, but this was what was this? Number 3. It's my 3rd bow. It's not awful though, I haven't tried it with a slightly shorter string, which is what I think it needed. I think just a bit more material away on these tips here. get it a wee bit more front set. Yeah, I was talking about the handle. Just have material on the back, look. And you go, the idea is to isolate the middle of the bow. It's a little dinks. I haven't stored them as gently as I should. Yeah, isolate the middle of the bow so there's no bending going on here. So you eliminate any stress that might be occurring in the middle. Did have one go, a bow we did from my housemate. We just went too thin, the stave went too thin, and then the glue up wasn't good enough, so the handle popped off and it broke right in the middle there. Did actually manage to fix that one. Added a material on the front, material on the back again, lashed it up. Needs a bit more hand sanding, probably needs about a month of hand sanding, but it could look nice again. It definitely works again, works well still. But you just put all the splinters back together again and glued it all together. So yeah, that was my thinking. If you were going to go ahead and do this, take your Selfbow and then start cutting in the middle, you really need a nice hefty chunk of material. This one was yew, maple, yew again. That's a little knotted piece, just for looks, just for taste. I can see this handle wants to dip a wee bit more. Still, so it still shoots. I'd like to spend a bit more time shooting this one again. Actually, I'll be able to feel where it's not as refined as the other ones. I'll put that side by side. You can probably see. Sort of the lighting isn't great. Just thicker and thinner in certain areas. You can see what I was on to. I had a vague idea of what needed to happen. Yeah, I could still round off these edges a little bit more, make it just a bit more forgiving. But anyway, yes, you can center cut a Selfbow, but you need a few considerations, otherwise you're going to cause yourself some problems. And this is why the English longbow is the way that it is, because they are quick and cheap and easy to make. And if you're cutting pieces out in the middle of them, that does not make it easy. It adds complication that you don't necessarily need, because you spine your arrows to the bow, which I guess is a good time to talk about the horsebow handle, because it's a whole other animal. You can tell by the shape. You go, why? You know, the other handle shape is so much more elaborate, so much more comfortable and ergonomic. Surely that's the better handle for shooting, I guess. Yeah, I guess it sort of is. It all depends on what your objective is and the style of archery, I guess. Because the Mediterranean style is definitely a pursuit of accuracy. Everything about it. Yeah, at the same time, you can get silly or accurate. It's the difference between shooting gap and shooting instinctive. Really aiming up and knowing, you know, exactly where your arrow is going to go, versus the instinctive shot where you know where your arrow is going to go, but you're doing it by feel. More like throwing, you know, different. Well, this is a great example. Is to throw, you know, to be instinctive. And say you had 5 different rocks, and they're all different sizes, all different weights, and you were to try and throw each one into a cup. You're going to pick it up and you're going to feel the weight of it, and just in the feel, in the release, in the feel, you're gonna adjust the trajectory yourself to make that the weight of that rock, you know, that combination of arc and power that you put behind it, and make it land in the cup. It's very similar to instinctive archery. Yeah, it's much more fit. It's a hard one to explain, but as soon as you pick it up and have a go, it's right, okay, I see what you're talking about, and it's very fun. I guess the main question asked, well, let's say the question that I've sort of seen touted, is that shooting Katra is the process of flicking the bow out of the way like this, and it really defines the shape of the handle, and where I really enjoy that one in the hand. I really want to make this one feel like that one does. Dainty, so it sits right into your hand. You can wrap your fingers all the way around. The idea is you're trying to encourage those 3 fingers to wrap all the way around like that, and it gives you a real good strangle hold in the bow, and the front's all squared off and narrow, so you can flick flick that bow out the way real nice and quick. And when you do that, as you release the arrow, you've removed, you see, the arrow is always going to, unless you've center cut, the arrow is always going to kick off. It'll do it on the same, on the other side there, exactly the same. So yeah, when you fire and you catch her, you remove that problem out of the way effectively. I mean, there's still elements of it that you know, in your arrow pass, it's a pass, not a rest. And this is something I've been testing just lately. It's like, do you want the arrow to literally sit on the arrow pass? I don't think so. I think you're still shooting off your hand. So all you're doing is allowing the arrow to sit closer and closer to the center of the bow. Depending on how sturdy this piece is, sort of defines how narrow this can go. I can get a little bit more. I think I've got a tape measure here. I think we're getting close. Yeah, I could go deeper on this side as well and shape it up so it's just a little bit more forgiving on the arrow. Yeah, the whole idea being that you can just, you know, if you get your technique right, I can fire aluminium with this thing absolutely fine. We still need a little bit more tiller to do on this one. It's playing tricks on my eye, but I feel that this limb is sitting off to the left ever so slightly. We've got a pretty decent string line. I haven't fully finished the nocks as well, which could be playing with the string line on this one. And it's looking okay. Yeah, the arrow passes. I mean, I've gone for some people might just do it on the right hand side if the bow is just meant to be shot on the right hand side, but I've seen it done on both sides. I guess that's where you can talk about composite bows versus self bows again, because with a composite bow, you know, sort of bamboo or fiberglass layups, you can design it. You can design it to be sturdier in the middle here, so that you can have as narrow arrow passes that you can achieve. And that's always going to help. Even though you're doing Catra, the narrower the arrow pass, it's going to help with that. Let's shoot it quick. Can I have a bow video without some shooting? I'm going to put those arrows over here. So yeah, I've got a handful of arrows here. Just a handful of random ass arrows. Between 32 and 30 inches. I think the 31.25. That one's not got a tip. He'll shift, that one. That's like 30 something. Yeah, 30 maybe. I think this hazel one. Where's my other hazel one gone? This bow really likes that hazel arrow. That's annoying. Hopefully I've left it over by where I'm going to shoot from. Yeah, I'll go shoot this handful of arrows and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All shooting thumb style off the right. Let's see if I can do a groove. It's a little bit dark back here. I haven't got a knocking point set up either, so it might be a bit wild, but yes, let's shoot. An aluminium. We'll go in with the, I won't do the tipless, leave you there. This is a heavyweight wooden arrow. Let's see if I can get it to hit in the same place, throw it like a stone. Not quite. It's a great bow to shoot this, the ancient design with the horsebow handle. There's another aluminium. We'll go for another, it's quite a heavy wood arrow this. A little bit lighter than the last one I think though. Come on, let's hit those aluminiums. Dang it. That's my bad shooting. Oh, let's have this other aluminium, see if it behaves the same as the other ones. No, my bad shooting again. Here's that hazel arrow. Right. There we go. Yeah, all of those. That's not an awful group to be fair. dinner plate size. No knocking point, just a random handful of weighted arrows and lengths. Some wood, some aluminium, because they were firing off the right hand side. They honestly all behave fairly similarly. If I was shooting it off this side, however, that would not be the case. Yeah, another point to talk about quickly. I realise I ramble on in these, doing just one big cut. Yeah, you shoot off the right hand side, you use your thumb, because it's twanging the opposite side of the string. You're shooting off that side, that's where you're going with the right hand side. How it delivers the string to the arrow matters. Yeah. So yeah, your handle design choice, bow choice is very important when it comes to making, well, any type of bow, really, isn't it? Obvious. I mean, yeah, it's structural. It's literally at the heart of the thing. And then from there, as well as just being a chunk of wood that needs to stay not snapping in half in the middle of two bendy limbs, then you can make it be something much more, yeah, much more tunable. Yes, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like, having spent that much time shaping these types of handles and sort of learning about steady, anchored, regular, what do you call it, more disciplined, and yeah, well, doing exactly the same shot every time, and really focusing on that, and that being sort of core to accuracy. To then sort of hear that, if you just sort of shoot off the other side of the bow and don't anchor to your face and just really shoot from the heart and praise the Lord as you do it, then yeah, you can become accurate without any of that sort of concern. Yeah, they're all flying nice and straight. That's sort of the main thing to note there. Even though they're hitting maybe not in the exact same spot, they're all flying straight. Whereas spining between on a centre cut bow all comes down to the power and the draw length. They're going to behave quite differently if you don't get that right. So yeah. My theory on Catra, it doesn't do all of the work. You still have to have. I mean, it's working well with stiff arrows. If I had bendier arrows, I don't know. It'd probably be the same, to be honest. Like I say, instinctive shooting, you sort of compensate. Yeah, well, at least with stiff arrows, it seems to work. I like it. Right, plan with this one. Gonna narrow this handle down some more and make it real nice and snug. Yeah, I might chase these wedges down a little bit more. I don't really need much more draw length. It's working really well. Yeah, there's a possibility you can overdo it. You don't want to go too far. And of course, you'd end up spending a lot of time on each component of the bow. So yeah, it's making up your mind. But I didn't with this bow. But yeah, making up your mind what your bow is going to be beforehand is probably a good idea. What did I? No, I sort of did. What I wanted was a flat bow from this particular piece of wood. So it was 64 inches. I didn't really get to choose that. And then have a horsebow handle. And there we go. It's the exact same challenge as the other one. The limbs have to work a certain way. The tips have to work a certain way. The lump of wood in the middle has to be structural. And then at that point, sort of once you've got the limbs to work, then you can really decide on how it looks in the middle here. Yeah, that understanding of what each handle does, I think is really important. Yeah, that's a hunting bow handle. I mean, you'd probably get chewed out a little bit if you turned up to do some hunting, shooting off the left, in this country anyway. Well, no, sorry, I can't do hunting here. In the States, let's say. Is there many right-handed shooting bows hunting in the States? I don't think I've seen any, apart from maybe your South Pole shooters, but I'm talking about Asian horse bows. Because you best believe this style of bow has done a whole bunch of hunting in its time. Well, not this particular one, the design. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yes, handles. Have a good old think about them. Like I say, the shooting off the right is just fun. It is super fun. The other one's strung up. Let me shoot the other one quick. I know that the 3 aluminium arrows work really well with it, as should my short hazel one. So let's drop these 2, because they're not going to make it look any good. Yeah, shoot without knocking points. I should stop doing that when it comes to testing bows, because it adds a variable. So is it me, or is it the knocking point, or is it the bow? So let's start with the, I went to put it on the right hand side of the bow. Let's start with my hazel arrow. Really liking this hazel arrow. And the key to this one is getting it to, you know, if you hear a knocking sound, it's it coming off the shelf at the wrong angle. Right, let's warm them up. Beauty. That's it. I don't think it's as quick as the home guard bow there. I've left that one a little bit more powerful. I think I had the knocking angle right there. With the aluminium, you'll definitely hear it if I get it wrong. Terrible shot. Definitely flew quicker though. That was the lighter arrow than the hazel. That's a better shot, but you can hear that twang is where I haven't knocked it in the right angle. And it kicks off the shelf just a little bit. To loosen that knock as well. What we got? We've got one more aluminium. I love my fletching jig. Means I actually got around to fletching my arrows, so they all fly consistently. Ish. I don't think I full drawed that one. So yeah, dinner plate sort of size again. Maybe slightly less. Yes. 2 solutions to the same problem. Sticking an arrow in something from over there and into over there. Awesome. It's fun showing these off. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Yeah, need to get out, shoot these outdoors, do some slightly longer range testing. Really enjoying this one. Yeah, I need to make sure I don't go past the PowerPoint that I'm looking for. Beauty. Thanks again, everyone. I will see you in the next one. Hope you're all well.